Hello and welcome to the RWBY podcast. It's time. We are officially in the thick of Volume 8 with Volume 8, Episode 1, Divide. I am William Howard Taft's Mustache's Revenge, Mediocrity 4.
It is I, high-powered. It is that time again. As Caesar crossed the Rubicon into Rome to return, I also have to announce the return of an esteemed podcaster on this wonderful podcast. Socklucard is back, and boy, is it sure good to have wool socks back on my feet again.
Also happy for the return of Sock. It is I, dude, what the heck. Also happy that it is finally not 90 degrees in California anymore, so woohoo. It's
Now
like
it's
50
80.
something, so
Oh.
that's... No, it's actually been cold. Like, the high yesterday was 57, which is that's freezing by California standards to have a high that low. Like, so... Yes, Canadians are laughing at me, I know. I know you're laughing at me, Canadians, trust me. That's okay, I'm just letting you know. And I'm happy about the cold.
Yeah, well, your boy Coop's been staring at a screen full of numbers all day just so he could come home to stare at a screen full of letters. And I'm equally tired on both ends. Life in The Simpsons sure is hard.
And I'm not a man whore. The proper term is hosiery. Yeah, I'm Socklucard. I missed you, Will.
That was a bad taste in my mouth.
As it
It's been too
should.
long.
As it should. As it should.
It was a little bit overly salty. You might want to check your diet there.
Yeah, I'll eat more pineapples.
Jesus.
There we go. Also, you might want to up your zinc intake because I hear that can increase the size.
The more you learn.
What is even going on right now?
We
We're talking about eating cum.
Zeke is gross science, though, but gross science works.
It's
and, like,
like-
I'm actually starting going to the gym, like, oh, you need to take these supplements, man, you'll get jacked.
We're
And
not even 3 minutes in and I'm already dying.
Well, I mean, it's just it's like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, just without the first part, and get rid of the robots in the game. Fuck it.
Literally. Anyway, so this episode, on the whole, I thought it was okay. It was a lot of what we knew had to happen. It was a lot of the stuff that we already predicted in the last podcast where we talked about the trailer. We talked about, what needs to be done. Most of the dialogue from the trailer was in this episode, if I recall. It's been a while since I've seen the trailer, but I'm struggling to think of very many scenes that were in the trailer that weren't in this episode. So, even though it was very important, it was a very important setup episode, and it set up a lot of stuff that could very well be good. The lack of an action scene and the lack of any, real punch left this a little weak, and it being a strong setup doesn't mean anything if the catharsis, if the payoff isn't up to par. And we were doing this podcast back in Volume 5 when we were praising that premiere for setting up a bunch of stuff, so keeping my expectations tempered here.
No, we've been doing this since, early Volume 4, right?
Yeah.
A long
So-
time ago.
Yeah, I was not positive on this episode overall. I don't know if we want to say... I kind of a rant to go on, so I have to go on it right now if we don't want me
Might
to.
as well. Who cares?
Yeah,
Fuck it.
all right.
you gotta go.
Okay, all right, soapbox out. I actually literally am standing on like a wicker basket right now. That's my footrest. So, there was some cool things that I really liked. I loved the whale basically being like a fucking Star Destroyer with like its mouth being like the docking station. That was, whoever thought of that, I'll give you credit. That was fucking clever, or just at least cool. I fucking loved that. So that kind of shit is awesome. Bad stuff. Obviously, I'm going to complain about Renora here, but I actually have something else to complain about here. I'm assuming that's what media knew I was going to rant about, right? But
Yes.
before we get to that, this episode just felt really, really slow, which was really weird. I was not expecting that. And it's not just because there was no fight. We've had episodes without fights that still feel like things are happening, right? And
Right.
obviously, maybe maybe not having a fight helps, but helps make it feel slower. But that's like my biggest. That was okay. Well, one of my two biggest complaints about this episode was that it felt really slow, and it just felt like yes, like as media said, we knew things were going to happen from the trailer, but the way they happened felt really lame and forced. Like I'm still sick of when is Ruby actually going to just lead? Like they cannot decide if she's a good leader or not. Like it's very obvious that she should not let people divide the way she's doing. Obviously, that's not going to go well. And I understand they're probably going to set something up with that, but it's still annoying the way she's so apathetic about it.
Yeah,
I don't.
there should be more dialogue. If there's not going to be any action, there needed to be more dialogue as far as what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly. And like not even just exposition dialogue, like something they can have discussions about how they argue about it more. Like they just Ruby just let everything happen. She's not leading. I don't
No, no,
mind
no,
if she
no.
tries
Don't.
to get everybody to do something. She didn't try that hard. She just kind of like, all right, whatever. I hope we're still, somebody said something like, don't worry, we're still together. And she's like, I hope so. It's like, yeah, that's your own fault. Like you're not forcing your
bro.
team to stay together. Like,
No, don't worry about it, man. She's gonna make like a fucking speech, and everything will be fine. It's totally cool.
yeah, I
Easy.
know that's what's
Yeah.
gonna happen, but that's lame and that's predictable. And I didn't
I think she's
like,
just more like I think she's just more thrown off that it was like Yang's questioning her, like why she understands Blake. She would understand maybe.
Oh,
well, yeah.
I got
Yang's
my
usually about
own
behind.
little complaints
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's-
like they're just like regardless of anything, like as dude is saying, like there just needed to be a little bit like faster dialogue. It was going way too slow,
like, for
especially for a
something-
cold open like this.
yeah, for how serious everything is right now, it felt like nothing was fucking happening, which is wild because like even the Volume 5 opener felt like things were moving. You know what I mean? They're actually doing something in that episode. All the openers before this had more pace to them than this one did. This is one of my, like, at least as far as I can think of off the top of my head, one of my least favorite first episodes because nothing happened. And it's just so slow and plotting. And yes, what Sock mentioned about Yang is my other big issue with the episode, which ties into the issue I have with what they're doing with Ren and Nora, but it's an issue with everybody's. What the fuck is everybody's motivation right now? Like, okay, so it's nice that Blake just kept her mouth shut for once. But Weiss, but it's also at the same time kind of weird that Blake and Weiss, who are usually very, very vocal, didn't say jack shit about anything in that whole episode.
Weiss didn't say
That's
anything
just
to
weird
the
to me,
whole
right?
city that we're talking about here. That's at risk of just being razed to the ground. It's like she doesn't have any input. She's like, okay, I'll just go along with Ruby.
It's just
call
but it's weird that like Blake and Yang made their dumb choice together last season to betray Ironwood and tell Robin whatever they told her. She would you think she'd at least either back up Yang or turn on Yang and realize she made a mistake, but she just didn't do anything. And Weiss, who I usually really like, didn't say anything. And then what the fuck is going on with Yang? Like, why is Yang all of a sudden angry at Ruby and totally disagreeing with her?
Yeah,
Where did that
okay,
come
so
from?
this
That
is
comes
my
from
issue. This is my issue with that whole exchange. Like, Yang is criticizing Ruby because Ruby's plan didn't go well. Yang is the one who didn't go along with Ruby's plan. Like, it's Yang's fault that Ruby's plan got shot in the foot because they didn't actually follow the plan. They didn't actually trust Ironwood. They didn't actually, like, pay off his trust in them. They didn't honor that agreement. Yang and Blake went not just behind Ironwood's back, and I pointed this out in those episodes, and also my top 10 worst list for Volume 7, where they didn't just go behind Ironwood's back when they told Robin that. They went behind Ruby's back, too. They did that without her knowing.
Yeah, I'm like even though I was in agreement with what Blake and Yang had done, that is a very fair point. That like they kind of just also went behind Ruby's back. Like that's the thing that people most just overlook. Because even Ruby didn't know about that shit. She's like, "Excuse me."
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
it's like you think like people would like they like it in a more reasonable sense, like everyone would be like playing the blame game right
Mhm.
now, and someone would be like, hey, we need to stop this. And the other thing too is like both teams are right, and it's like, okay, well, it's like, well, we gotta save Mantle, and it's like, no, we gotta like warn everyone else too. They're both not wrong in holding that statement, but I can understand where it's like you have to go, like we have to do, my moral philosophy argument of like, oh well, do we help save the people hereby and damn everyone else, or do we damn the people here and try to warn everyone else about what's about to go down? So
Yeah.
Which would, yeah, that would,
I could
that,
I understand that sort of like break between the group, and they're both not right. They're both not wrong in the plan.
but
Yeah,
the
because
problem
they can't.
is that there's more than enough of them to cover both of those ends
Yeah, because
of
if they
shit.
only focused
Like,
on just save like warning the world, like we don't need all those people doing that, and it's no better than what Ironwood is doing.
yeah, might as like you got two teams, you might as well split them up. Fuck. I mean, what the fuck do you have two for? Like,
Yeah,
two can be divided by two.
Yeah.
It is the first prime number.
Well, the other okay, and that brings so we're talking. The issue with the motivation is the problem. It's not the division. That's not the issue, right? Like I agree. That's not really a problem. I understand that they can try to take care of both important tasks,
Right.
right? But again, the issue is the motivation for everything, right? Like why is Yang mad at Ruby? Why does Blake suddenly not feel like, and why suddenly don't care about anything? That's really weird to me. But of course, the biggest elephant in the room that I haven't mentioned yet is what the fuck is going on with Renora right now? What in the actual fuck are they doing with those two?
Well, it's like
We knew this was coming.
Yeah, we knew it was
We knew
coming.
this
We
was
knew it was
coming.
coming, but I don't know. I think it's a chance to get them to actually just become their own characters. Because I get it. I get it. Like you love her Nora and stuff like that, but it's always Ren and Nora. Always Ren and Nora. Always Ren and Nora. You never see them by themselves.
Oh, we have though. That's the thing. Like we
I'm
have.
not. I'm not.
I don't think that's what it is.
I don't care. I don't care that they're like arguing because couples
I don't
argue
either.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
couples argue.
It's the fact that those arguments are not rooted in what their motivations were in Volume 7.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know what they're doing. Okay, Sock, I don't know if you listened to the podcast from last volume, but I mean, everybody else was here for those, and you all remember what Robert and I were saying over and over again, right? Yeah, we know they're going to break. They're gonna. We can see that they're gonna, instead of confirming Renor after the kiss, they're gonna have them have one more big argument, and they're gonna break up / get mad at each other, and then they're going to bring them back together afterwards. That's why they're doing this. I mean, it's in the trailer. You can see this is going to be a focus of this volume. So like I said, I told Robert, I think you guys all remember, I said this last time in the last volume, almost, what is this, 9 months ago or something, right?
Something
I said, I'm totally fine with this. I know, because I could tell by the end of the last volume that that's what they were heading towards, right? They're heading towards getting them angry at each other, but that means that they're finally going to address their relationship, and then they're going to, by the end, because the way this show is, they're going to get them together. It'd be stupid if they didn't, because the way they've written the characters. Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with them going through that obvious bullshit to get characters together. That's okay. That's what most shows do. Whatever. Fine. The issue is, and I'm glad, the positive is that at least they are making a point of it. It was very obvious in the episode, and they made it very fucking obvious in the trailer that they're like looking at each other weird, and they're very clearly showing a divide between Ren and Nora. So it's obvious this is going to be a main theme of the volume, which again, for me as a Renora fan, is a good thing, because that means they're doing it so they can get them together finally, officially. Again, I've called this since volume. I know we weren't even doing the podcast then, but I said this since volume 3. No, actually, I have thought this since volume 4 when we started the podcast. What they're going to do is one of them's going to get badly hurt, and that's what's going to snap them out of whatever fucking issue they have. Okay, I'm calling that. Because they split up, right? Someone's going to get hurt where the other one isn't there, and that's what's going to trigger it, right? Okay, fine. The issue is that their motivations don't make any fucking sense. And this is why I'm not just talking about Renor here. I mentioned Yang as well, because Yang's motivation makes no sense. It's the same thing with Ren and Nora's. It's not just like the romance issue. It's an issue with the entire, that's what has me worried for this whole volume is in the last volume, Ren was the one who was sucking Ironwood's dick.
Yeah.
And we were all like, where did that come from? Well, all of a sudden that's completely gone now. And now he wants to help Mantle. And then Nora used to be the one that wants to help Mantle. And they had to they even know it's dumb because they had the line. They had Ren ask her, what about Mantle? She's like, oh, I'm saving Mantle because I believe we can actually do this. What the fuck? That doesn't even make sense. That makes absolutely no sense. What kind of shitty ass writing is that? Like, I can't trust any of these characters if their motivations don't make any sense.
It changed from an episode to episode basis.
Yeah, it's such a forced conflict between them. That's the problem I have. It's like I could understand. Like, I get the whole. What I was hoping they were going to do is they're going to base it more on Ren's worry about losing Nora to fighting or something like that, and that's what we saw last time when he couldn't hit Neo, even though he knew it was Neo, not Nora, but he still wouldn't hit her, right? If that was something, or if they were talking about concern for each other, they're literally just bickering about nothing, about slight disagreement in plan, which is something they've never done before, which makes no fucking sense. If Nora was mad about the lack of progress in the relationship, that would make sense because that is something that has clearly been an issue, right?
Right.
So that's something she can be mad at. The fact that they force this weird issue between them, which is we disagree on how we should handle things, and we flip-flop from the last volume, means they're just forcing an issue. It's not good writing. It's not actual character motivations. It's not a legitimate argument. So it makes no sense. They could still make some nice moments between it later on, but the way it's starting off is poor. And like I said, I know I like to rant about Renora, but it's not just them, because this has me worried for the other characters. And as I said, this is what happened with Yang too. So it's already happening with other characters.
Yeah,
like, what the fuck is... Yeah,
because as you had mentioned, Yang's whole entire motivation was like, yeah, there's all this stuff going on, but my main motivation is just to protect my little sister.
Yeah, like,
But now I need to question.
Yeah, Yang has no good reason to be mad at RWBY, and so they're forcing a divide between RWBY and Yang as well, right? They're doing that with other characters. I know the episode is called Divide, so I understand why they want to get characters upset at each other. That's the point. That's something, the theme of Salem for a long time. It's the title of the episode. I get that that's going to be a theme of this whole volume. That's fine. That's great. You can do that. Shows have done that before.
Well,
but they're doing it so poorly.
Like a better way to do this with RWBY and Yang at least. RWBY should be the one on the offensive here. Like, it was her plan to trust Ironwood. She was the one that, like, she thought she had her team's trust in her judgment, and we're going to tell people what RWBY wanted when RWBY wanted. Like, RWBY's the one who decided to tell Ironwood at the end. It wasn't just Oscar going behind RWBY's back and telling Ironwood about Salem's immortality. They came to an agreement, and RWBY put it in his hands. Like, RWBY wanted to do it herself as the squad leader, and Oscar was like, no, I'm the reincarnation of Ozpin, it's better if I do it. And RWBY's like, okay, I trust you. And she did, and that trust was somewhat rewarded because Ironwood didn't actually go off the deep end like they feared they would in response to that. It was other circumstances that pushed him over the edge that RWBY had no control over because Yang and Blake went behind her back. So RWBY should be the one on the offensive, not Yang. Well,
like, why is it that, like, everybody's
which one are you talking about? I don't know.
Dude, Austin, such a past this episode, like, they literally forget he's there. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, like, he's kind of the focus of the beginning of the good guys section, and then it's like he's not even there by the end of it.
That was just, but... I mean, that was because, like, he wasn't with them at the end of Volume 7, and they just, like, okay. I made fun of it because it really seemed like Shannon McCormick had just forgotten how to voice Ozpin. But then I heard somewhere that was like...
minor issue, I actually just now started recording. Sorry about that.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
I'm sorry about that, guys.
Okay, so Oscar is useless, but he is growing a spine. Shannon McCormick has changed his voice to more match what Aaron Dismuke is doing. Let's go forward.
Yeah,
Which I
and
like.
I am trying to figure out how to chemically combine vapes and White Claws. Not sure how I'll be able
That
to do
sounds very
but-
based and red pilled.
it. Yeah.
God, this podcast is a mess.
That sounds very. That sounds like the most like military thing I've ever heard in my life as well. To be honest.
Media, we've experienced like 2 years worth of happenings between the last podcast and the current podcast, okay? I'm
That was
sorry
like 2
things are a
weeks
little
ago.
rusty.
Dude, you've been out for 2 years. It's 2074 now, okay? They've taken over. We're in the underground.
Oh,
Wake
no.
up, samurai, we got a city to burn.
Oh, don't even bring up Keanu Reeves. Is there anything else to really mention? Okay, so Ironwood tried locating Penny. I heard some complaints about that, but the
It was,
complaints
yeah.
are dumb.
It was like
Because-
the gaslighting thing or whatever.
Yeah, well, the complaint I heard was that like, oh, why doesn't he just track her and bring her in? It's like, that would require manpower, right? And it's just like if Penny's not
Manpower
going to
they
come,
can't spare.
if Penny isn't going to come willingly, there's no point in even going after her.
Yeah, they would have to basically send out an entire army just to capture her.
It's like, yeah, superpower robot girl with maiden powers. Yeah, sure. Let me just not send all my men to like get.
Who is palling around with the team that just beat the Aesops?
Yeah, like, no, that is really stupid.
Plus
Who is
4
now
other
leaderless.
Yeah, plus 4 other huntsmen, one of which is the reincarnation of Ozpin. Yeah, I don't think Ironwood is wanting to burn through his army just to try to get Penny back.
Yeah, the smarter idea would be
You
to
know,
like just use Pro and
whenever
Null then as
Oscar
bait.
was like, it's a long story, I was kind of hoping he would start bait posting and be like, so I asked Ironwood, why would you shoot a man before throwing him down a bottomless pit?
I'm glad that someone like asked him that, is like, wait, how did you get to the slums? You were in Atlas Academy last time we checked. He was just like, landing strategy?
Honestly, I should have went with that answer.
What little bits of magic
Oh,
he had
yeah.
left. He
Yeah.
burned to not take any fall damage. Also, there's no canonical fall damage in this show.
Well, yeah,
No,
kinda.
he's right.
I mean, does anybody else, by the way, have a problem with how far they've made fucking what's his name go? Like how off the deep end they've had Ironwood go?
Yeah, let's talk about Ironwood for a
Because
beat.
I feel like it doesn't make sense how insane he's gone. Personally, I think
I don't.
Yeah.
Actually, well, considering what they've told us about what he like especially with this like kind of like this weird semblance thing, and also like how he's just always been like he's. I'm not surprised, to be honest. So like I'm fine with it.
Like
I'm actually fine with
I'm
it.
not surprised that like he would shoot someone for insubordination. He said as much himself back in like Volume 3.
Mhm.
It's the fact that he shot like one of the council members, but not the other one. Like it's that half measure mixed
Exactly.
with how extreme it
You
was.
see, if you're
Yeah,
going
it
to
just-
cross
it
the
just doesn't- it
Rubicon
just doesn't-
and go
it
back
just
into
doesn't
Rome
do-
and show those senators who's boss, aka Caesar, you gotta do them all.
Yeah, but see, Caesar lost, and Augustus won by placating the senators. Okay, so Augustus obviously is the better ruler.
Caesar only lost because the senators did some fucking ROM hacks on their shit. They were using aim assist. Okay?
You know, if
fucking-
Caesar actually wore his armor into the Senate, he probably would have survived. But no, he had to like not wear his armor.
Yeah,
whenever
but
he
the
was
difference
going
is he
in.
still wouldn't have lasted
Also,
as a
screw
ruler
you,
because he
Brutus.
would have pissed off the Senate to such a degree that he wouldn't have lasted anyway. Augustus lasted and was the most successful Roman emperor by far because he actually placated everybody so successfully. so much more Chad brain. Okay, he's so much smarter than Julius. Not even close.
I don't know. I
Did
just
he
think it's the
cross
fact that
Rubicons?
Sleet was actually yelling at him, and like the other one, the Camilla or something like
Yeah,
her name.
Camilla.
Yeah, that it's like she's more easily played. Like she's probably more easily cowed. If you just take out one, the rest will bend the knee.
Yeah.
So I'm as I said, I'm completely fine with it. He's so hyper focused on survival that he's actually losing the bigger picture. But at the same time, he's can't say he's wrong. He's like
Yeah.
it's
My
can't say he's completely wrong.
Issue with it. Yeah, my issue with it was the way it came off. It made Ironwood less interesting of a character.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
that was
It was much more like what they were going for according to their Volume 7 commentary.
yeah. I think
But what they were going for was less interesting than what it ended up being.
yeah. Well, I think that
Like
was due in part to the fact
Ironwood's
that
yeah. Ironwood's arc towards the end of Volume 7 was it's so weird because it's better because the writers are so incompetent. Like they accidentally made it better than they originally intended, which just blows my mind.
I think a lot of it though was
Oh no,
lost
it
to the
has
fact that
happened before.
Is that seriously? They really? So they want him to look this maniacal the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. This is the reason why I no longer buy their DVD/Blu-rays and why I no longer listen to their commentaries anymore.
ignorance
Well,
is
I
bliss.
mean,
Yes.
like the other thing too is like to them like Ironwood is the right wing strongman, and they don't want the right wing strongman to do good. So for most people, it's like, oh, he just like, judge, jury, and executioned a member of the Senate, which I feel like media is right where it's like if you're gonna shoot one, you might as well shoot the other, and suffer the consequences later. But I feel like that's kind of
Yeah.
like where they're going right now because they're like, these people like this is bad. We don't want this. So that's kind of like my hot spicy take on it.
I feel like it's like I fully expected it because it's just another way of the world bending over backwards to make the good guys be in the right. It's like they it's just another example of the fucking logic working backwards. Instead of the good guys being good because they're right because they're good.
Well, yeah, and then it's at the same time too like any sort of like dumb stuff that the team does, it's just gonna be like at the end of the day they're gonna be like, oh, but Ironwood shot the senator.
Oh yeah.
And that's just gonna be
Yeah.
like that's gonna be like argument points where it's like people would be like, oh, Team RWBY did something really dumb, like they accidentally put like a whole bunch of people's lives in jeopardy by doing this. It's like, but at least they didn't shoot a senator, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and it's really stupid because like, okay, let's talk about actual good shows, like I don't know, The Expanse or Star Wars The Clone Wars, right? Where both of those shows are full every character mostly, especially in The Expanse, very gray area stuff like all the time, right? And that's one of the things that Clone Wars did for Star Wars, which was make a lot of like gray area ideas for things, like even the good people doing bad things, like that arc where Obi-Wan and the Jedi lie to Anakin and pretend that Obi-Wan actually got killed, right? You can understand, like, that's a shitty thing to do. That was stupid. That was dumb of Obi-Wan to do. And you can see why that would make Anakin not trust the Jedi and shit like that, right? Be mad at Obi-Wan, right?
Right.
So
You look at
that's
the
good
Expanse
stuff to
too.
do. It's the Expanse,
like
yes.
the what's his name's the best friend of the captain of the Rossin of the Rizzoli.
Are you talking about
The guy with the buzz cut head, like the
yeah,
literal wild
the
animal,
muscle.
the muscle. Like this man is,
Yeah,
he is like, I will walk up to you and crush your skull in a heartbeat.
exactly.
But he's
yeah.
also like, sure, this man will kill you in a heartbeat, but there is like
Amos. You're talking about Amos, right?
yes, Amos. Like Amos,
Yes,
like
I love Amos.
like the murderous path that Amos goes on makes sense, and he is a good guy, but he solves the problems where it's like, oh, this guy could just go to jail, or I could just
I just kill him.
vent him out the airlock or kill him. It's like
The I'm that guy scene is honestly one of the best scenes I've seen in a long time in any show or movie. That scene is so good because it does sum up his character so perfectly. And yes, that's another perfect example. But that's like that show is so much better than RWBY. It's laughable. So I wouldn't expect them to be able to get that right, but I think if these people know anything about other media, they watch other shows at least, right? They should see that and be like, oh yeah, not everything has to be black and white, right? That's one of the things that George Lucas fucked up. Like he kept trying to make everything way too black and white while also making things more complicated or complex, and that doesn't work. It's okay when Star Wars was very simple and straightforward. You can make everybody black and white, right? That's fine. That's easy to make everything black and white, like the morality.
I think
That
the
was the first three.
morality comes across better too. Like I don't know if you've ever played Knights of the Old Republic: The Memorpager, but there's unironically a point where it's like a Sith ghost is talking to like the one like head lady of the Jedi Council, and the Sith ghost now, since he's like dead, he's like, yeah, it's like like we're bad guys because we're the Sith, but like we're kind of here for a reason. It's like we got to kind of balance out like the craziness of the Jedi here.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and that's why Ahsoka becomes a gray Jedi and shit. That's why she leaves the Jedi, right? So,
man, Ahsoka in Rebels is so hot, it's not even funny.
Yeah,
And
not gonna
perfectly
lie,
legal too, also.
I've got a couple pages for that.
I really dug the white blades. Everybody else is always like, oh, the Rebels blades are dumb because they're like thin, and I'm like, no, I like that. I think that's cooler and makes more sense and is probably more efficient.
yeah, agreed. But yeah, so like that's what they could be doing, and trying to make Ironwood overly like evil for honestly no good reason. It doesn't serve any purpose, and it the thing is, it's like that's always the worst thing that any writer can do is think that they are portraying one thing while actually portraying something else, is not even be aware of what they're actually portraying. And that is the issue that RWBY has going on right now with the thing with Ironwood, with their main characters. The main characters, we don't understand their motivation right now. So whatever the writers think they're portraying with, that Yang and RWBY argument, with the Ren and Nora argument, we don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to us because they don't even understand it. And then what they're trying to do with Ironwood doesn't make sense, and we can understand what they're trying to do, but it's not gelling, it's not clicking, because that's not what they were showing before. They don't know what they're trying to portray, or at least they don't know how to portray it. And that's why I'm so negative on this first episode, is because usually we don't notice all those major issues until those don't manifest themselves until later in the shitty volumes, right? But like this is manifesting itself right from the beginning of this volume, and that has me very scared. I hope they clean it up.
That's an understandable fear. Let's shift over to one of the better parts of the episode, which was the bad guys, and by bad guys I mean AKA Tyrion.
Which is how this episode actually starts. So we're probably getting Cinder backstory. We see a little bit of that right out the gate.
It's about fucking time.
Better late than never.
Better late than never, but part of me is like, I also don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care at all.
That's the biggest problem. It's taken so long. People are like, you know what? No, fuck it. It's like John Semblitz. I don't care.
Part of me too is like that one like fan comic
care.
of Raven raiding a random village, and it's like and Cinder's there. Like, okay, someone at the thing saw that, and they're like, oh, there we go. This someone stole that from the community.
They're just gonna do that thing that all poorly written shows do, where they're like, oh, guess what? This person is connected to this person. Everything is connected.
I don't know if they're gonna go that.
I hope not. If they don't, then I'll be proud of them for not doing that. But
I
it's
think
a go-to thing to make things seem cooler than they are, and I'm worried they're gonna.
My theory is that the reason why they haven't gotten into it is because it's so like she's Cinderfall, it's Cinderella, it's literally that, they if this is any indication, if this little clip here is any indication,
they think they're clever.
Then no, it's not that they think they're clever. It's that they think that just because she's called Cinder, that the audience can fill in the blanks and that the audience can like use their headcanon to validate her actions, which we've seen a lot from the fandom. And now that they're bringing it in, they're only bringing it in because she is probably not going to make it out of this volume alive. They're doing that. They're doing that thing that a lot of shonens do, where they show the person's backstory right before they die.
I don't know about all that. And I don't know about the whole better late than never thing. Sometimes, like, it's better never than late. And I think in this instance is probably a good thing because it's just going to consume a shit ton more of that runtime. And they'll probably, and it will not be satisfying enough with how much of just time they've wasted not getting to it when they should have gotten to it like 5 fucking
Like,
years
I'm not even
ago.
talking about like full on like flashbacks. Like even just like her saying something, like
She
like
just,
cause, like you know some
gives a
throwaway lines
throwaway
here and
here.
there when especially when they're actually clashing with like RWBY and stuff like that. Like a couple lines here and there would be perfectly fine, but like it's gotten to this point where it's like not only is she like I mean a lot of people like her, but like the majority of people just do not like her, and at this point they're just like no, just kill her off. So
I
like
just,
it's getting to a weird point where it's like
I just,
you want story for her, but at the same time,
I just literally would like for them to rip off the speech between Chun-Li and M. Bison in the Street Fighter movie. That's all I want.
for me, it was a Tuesday. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I would be perfectly fine with that, yeah.
I mean, I would even say too, like for Cinder right now, she's kind of at her most disposable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, sure, you're the vessel for the maidens, but she could, technically speaking, be replaced at any time.
Yeah, Sam was
By
just like,
anyone who is female, and not even, they could build a robot using stolen technology at this point.
Also,
Like,
speaking of bad guys, did uh, did Emerald get like gain a cup size?
No, it's because her
mm,
coat's really thick.
No, she
yeah.
gained a cup size. That's my headcanon. You can don't at me.
Oh
Fact
yeah, I
that-
forgot they're in the show again. Why?
They're
I
here.
called, that was one of the things I remember when watching that scene. It's like, oh yeah, Emerald and Mercury exist. Why are
Sometimes
they
it
here again?
Sometimes
Be
it
like,
takes
hey,
a
look, it's
long time
Sasuke.
to go out clothes shopping, okay? You gotta pick the exact right style. They did not. You gotta fucking do a lot of different stuff.
I think
Freaking
those two coming back are the reason that I would agree. I didn't even think about this before, but they are the reason I would agree with. I think it was Media who said that they're going to do the shonen thing where they just give the backstory to kill the character. I think they're going to kill. Now that I think about it, I think they're just going to kill Emerald, Mercury, and Cinder off all at the same time. Maybe not the exact same time, but you know what I mean. By the end of this volume, I think they just might kill all of them. Maybe even Neo too. Maybe not, but those three I think are all gonna. There's because why bother bringing those two back? Why'd you even bring Emerald and Mercury back? We forgot they existed.
I'm actually going to be more like they kill Cinder off, but then Salem just like, okay, Emerald, you're my new maiden, and just like, yes.
She doesn't matter enough for that, though. That's the thing. You know what I mean?
But like, she doesn't matter, but that's the thing. It's like the whole if you kill Cinder off in this volume, that's just gonna like I can see a lot of paths opening up with that because she'll be like more fully on board with the Salem thing than she already is.
I guess my point though is that first of all, no, she wouldn't be because she loves Cinder too much. She would die for Cinder. So
yeah, but then you take Cinder away, and what does she have?
Well, that she just tries to kill Salem and fails and dies. That's what I don't think there's
A
any
boyfriend
other
with no legs.
I don't think there's any other point for her. You know, there's nothing else she would do. But the other thing is like I don't really want there to be more paths. I want the show to be more centralized and focused. So I would prefer they don't pick another new maiden character. Like I don't need more shit. You know what I mean? That was always one of my biggest issues with this show. I've complained about when they added the maidens. I complained when they added, any extra shit they added, basically, I was complaining about it. Stop adding more stuff. Don't add more characters. Thank you for not bringing back, coffee and all that shit. Just get us focused.
You know what they
on we
should
need to
add
care
to this
about.
show, which I'm kind of surprised they don't have, is like, why don't they have like nuclear weapons? This is a perfect test case of why you need to have a nuke in the RWBY universe. You've got Moby Dick rolling up to your front yard, just launch a nuke at him. Call it a day.
For one, I think it's because
I really
they
like
need
the
the area to be
railgun.
livable. It's like if
No,
you kill it,
it's a dust nuclear bomb. There's no radiation.
Yeah, it's like the oxygen nukes from Starship Troopers. It actually uses the air molecules to divide instead of any uranium or anything like that. So it creates a clean nuking.
Or it's like in Warhammer 40k, whenever you virus bomb a planet, you just shoot a lance at the surface, then the whole atmosphere catches fire. Oops.
Yeah.
probably
Man,
awesome.
virus bombs are
I was
scary.
I was just checking back on the clip. Have we mentioned how much Tyrion steals the scene yet?
Yet again.
Yes, Tyrion,
Yeah.
as always, is a bright shining light in this show. Anytime he
Mhm.
speaks, it's always wonderful. Also, I will say this: Hazel's dressed like he's about to win like World Strongman 2021.
Yeah,
Like he looks
they really carved his abs into his character model so that it would be very visible.
like that
But no,
dude probably
with
could squat like 2,000
They
pounds.
they gave him Son's abs.
He
Yeah.
stole Sun's abs.
well, if you recall, they had to do the same thing with Sun after Volume 4 because in Volume 4 his abs seemingly disappeared. They were there as part of his character model, but they weren't. But they were just like painted on, so it kind of blended in with his model. So in Volume 5 onward, they like carved it into his model to make it visible.
Hazel, after his failure in Volume 5,
But
spent the
yeah,
entire intermediate
I
time
I
bulking,
love
doing a clean bulk.
I love what Tyrion says to Cinder, where he's like, "No, while me and Watch were like being awesome, you were just atoning for past failures. Like, yeah, you might have did good, but that
Lie not
good
detected.
only any good that you and this little ice cream chick have done in Atlas is only you making up for how much of a failure you were in Haven."
Yeah, and
And
he's
not
right.
even that because Cinder didn't do shit. Neo did all the work.
Yeah,
She
Neo
did.
was the one that got the
Yeah.
relic.
I mean, if I'm gonna be
Don't you know that when you leave behind an obsidian chest piece that causes an unexplainable mental breakdown in a relatively rational man, that you actually have done shit? Okay, get on the page.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm
for
missing the
Dusty.
reference
My
here.
ignorance.
Do they know that though? Do they know that?
Yes, they had cameras hacked. Remember this.
well, and if I want to be positive, because I've been very negative on this episode overall, I did like the villain scene, and Tyrion, of course, was the best part of the villain scene, and I love how how derogatory he is toward them, and he's right. That's great. I love that too. Like he's not wrong. Like in this case, what the writers were trying to portray was portrayed, so that's good. Which usually should go without saying, but that's something you should have to discuss with a good show. But we have to with RWBY. So that's good, and I love how they try to get shit. They try to talk shit on him by talking shit on Watts, but it's like, dude, Tyrion doesn't give a fuck about anybody else, so of course he doesn't care. Of course that's not going to work. But I love how that's how it plays out. That he's like, hey, I don't give a fuck about Watts. He can suck it. He sucks too. I
The
still
only
want
one
it.
he cares about is Caleb.
I did watch it. I'm not saying that Watts didn't suck. I'm saying you suck. I love that. That's how that went. It was fucking awesome. It was hilarious.
It's like
I also
unfortunate,
love
but in comparison to your track record, though,
yeah. I also love the rejection of Emerald here, which is a callback to their first scene from Volume 2. When Emerald went to hug Cinder, Cinder just walked right past her. They do that again. Like it's good, but a lot of it is stuff that we've seen in other volumes. Like we saw, Tyrion and Watts bullying Cinder in Volume 4, back when she couldn't talk back.
Mhm.
We've seen Emerald get rejected by Cinder before. We've seen Tyrion taunt Emerald about Cinder before. That was in volume 6, right? That happened. I think so. Yeah, it was in volume 6. Um, so same episode when Mercury revealed that
He had
his
no
dad
semblance.
took his
Yeah.
semblance. Yeah. And So is the thing Salem sending after Oscar a flying Barangel? Is that what that's supposed to be?
It's probably like
Are we
some
finally
werewolf,
seeing them?
Berengal type grim, something like that.
Because it has wings, whatever it is. And we saw at the end of volume, again, I think it was at the end of volume 6, Salem creating the flying Barangles, and we
Oscar
haven't
better be ready
seen
for
them since.
non-consensual SS from Salem.
Mm, I mean, I think we're all ready, really. That might be the only way to defeat her, really.
I mean, speaking of
Oh,
Salem's
God.
outfit, man, like
Man, I've been
that
saying
is
this.
that's
Man,
a
I've been.
that's a window into the abyss right there, one would say.
I'll tell you exactly why she's doing it is because she knows he's there, and she's like, I need to get prepped with the proper amount of cleavage showing, so that I can
God,
shove his head into it.
God, do you guys know how validated I feel after being like the weird one, like the old Facebook groups, just like, you know what, I would like a body pillow Salem. And people are like, no, what's wrong with you, dude? It's just like, no, people are seeing her now. It's like, it feels so fucking good.
It's-
It's like they see the light.
No, they've seen the darkness, okay? Sometimes when you stare into the abyss, it stares back with big titties.
It is glorious.
It is nice that all the female villains in the show are attractive.
Yeah, it helps.
Man, it's terrible, ain't it?
Like, I mean, I don't see why nobody goes over to the bad side more often, honestly.
Let's be honest. Would RWBY be a quarter as popular as it is if they didn't at least get decent character designs done for the show? Because that was
Oh,
something
I mean that
Oh,
is
they've
yeah.
always
absolutely a
done well.
strong suit.
I mean, why do you
yeah.
think
That-
all
that-
these phone games are so popular? Why'd I have to spend all this money to get my favorite battleship?
Yeah,
That
it's
was
like
arguably the only strong suit that it ever had.
No, I always said I think media will back me up on this. Sometimes they do get one-on-one interpersonal relationships and interpersonal one-on-one interactions done really, really well every once in a while.
Yeah.
And when that gets done, it's what restores our faith in the show for 5 seconds, and then
Pros.
then it falls again. But they have done that very, very well sometimes, weirdly. So
Pro number one of the show, it make picture look good. Pro number two, it occasionally make people do good thing. Pro number three, non-existent.
pro number 3, we get to talk shit
Wow.
on it together.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
That's the reason I'm here. I'm still here for 2 reasons. 1, talking shit with you guys, and 2, make Renora happen. And that's it.
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything else to say about the episode. So let's talk about this opening and some of the implications it might have for the future of the volume. Because song wise, it's a non-present song. I've watched this. I've listened to the song more than I've watched the opening because a good friend of ours, the Floof artist, did his own parody
Mhm.
version of it as he always does.
As he
So
always
I,
does,
so,
madman.
so
Media, the
I've
floof artist
listened to
isn't
this.
real. He's just a Google AI that's taunting us.
Yeah, can we
Uh,
talk about that terrible like math rocky kind of beat they were trying to do during the course that would have
They
worked if
had
they
it be-
actually did bother to
It
change?
wasn't
If
just
they
white
actually
noise.
tried to change, yeah, well, they need to change the time signature, like to make that sound right. They try to do like an actual like 5/4 7/8 sort of kind of feel. I would say that sounded more like a 7/8 kind of feel, or maybe a 9/8 kind of feel to it, and it didn't work. I'd say
Dude,
7/8.
it's
Sounded more
all
like a
butt
fit
metal
7/8.
all the time for.
But yeah,
for
they
Ruby
just added a
openings.
weird beat that would have worked on some sort of like math rock shit or
So
Rush, and they added basic music over that, and it sounds terrible.
If you go prog, you gotta go full prog. This is known.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like
I don't care about these openings anymore.
Yeah. So I've listened to the song numerous times. I don't remember a thing about it. I remember stuff from every other opening, and I'd remember it like on the second or third time. Like I remember, this will be the day we waited for. I remember the triumph will be ours.
Rising like
I
the moon.
remember, yeah, rising like the moon. I remember the beat for the Volume 7 opening more than any of its lyrics. I know how the lyrics go a little bit with the Trust Love, but I
Yeah, Trust
mostly
Love. Yeah.
remember the I remember that from it more.
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't
little
remember
off.
a single thing from the Volume 8 opening, and I've listened to it upwards of a dozen times now.
Yeah, I'd still have to listen to it more, but as it currently, the count currently is, it's like I'm in agreement. Like, there's just nothing that stands out to me.
Well,
The thing the thing is why this is an issue is they keep doing the same butt rock over and over again. And the thing is, the reason why people loved the music, I think, in the first two volumes, especially the first two volumes, I think, did have some very good music. Why? Because yes, there was some butt rock, but at least it was relatively novel for a Western show to have rock music. And so, you're used to an anime because Japan loves rock music, but it was new for us in America. But then they also had like show tunesy songs and like and other stuff like that, and then like the dance songs and the techno-ish kind of songs and all that. They
Yeah,
had
multiple genres. Yeah.
variety, and then they had the kind of orchestral rock songs too. They like Red Like Roses Part Two or what, I think that's the one I'm thinking of, right? Where it's like actually orchestral with the butt rock, right? That's all at least all kind of slightly different. And I thought they were going to do that with the openings too, but they never did,
well, they
right?
got
Like not every anime opening is actually a rock song. Some of them are kind of like pop songs too. Like Toradora does like a techno-y pop song for their opening. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that's
you got to change it up, guys. Like doing the
they
same kind of
Uh,
thing over and over
uh,
again.
like I
Is
know
like,
a lot of people
what
had issues with like Volume Three's opening, but like I felt like that was really good change. Like, and it also kind of like did show like, yeah, this is gonna a little rough, guys.
and that fit that volume, and I think
Yeah.
this will maybe fit the volume tone wise. It'll fit the volume as well. If by all indication, but the problem is that like the creative juices have obviously ran dry for Jeff Williams.
no,
They're in desperate need of either a prolonged break or a completely new composer for these tracks.
I I wouldn't go that far. I think it's not necessarily that he's run out of it. I think he's trying to, at this point, merge some of the genres more. That seems to be the case. I think he's gone from let's try out the new stuff to let's bring this different shit into our main sort of thing. And it hasn't had very good consequences because it sticks out oddly and doesn't merge well with the pre-existing style. And
Like aesthetically, the opening's great, but like
Oh yeah, visually it's real slick.
yeah,
mm,
but as far as like
I might
Oh
put
yes,
on your
I
own
agree.
feet,
I
It is
might
very
later
slick.
I might later in the week record my own like little solo discussion, um kind of going beat by beat on this opening, visual wise, and
oh, not gonna
try to
lie,
figure
I
out
did not watch it. I was like too busy looking at snails having sex on a video that I saw on YouTube.
as God intended.
Mhm.
So I literally have no idea what the fuck the the actual visual the video
Uh
was behind it.
yeah, there's a lot of, like just real slick transitions. It's not all done like it's in one shot, but there's a lot of like there's not very many breaks in it. There's not very many like hard cuts. A lot.
Okay, so they kind of learned from the previous one in that way more.
They do like this little like picture in picture thing where like Ruby's staring into the middle distance and her cape is floating, but inside the cape it's uh the clip of her at her mother's grave. They do that with other characters at various points. Um, more indications that we're gonna get Cinder backstory. Uh, Winter has a new outfit
Mhm.
according to this. Um, she's incorporated a bit of red into her outfit. Whitley and Willow are in the opening. Yeah, there's a lot of like real slick stuff in it.
Yeah, I'll
Also,
check it
some
out
very
later.
unsettled hits, very unsettled hits. But like as we can say,
Yeah, we
the intro does not have to. The opening does not really
have to be
dictate what might
subtle.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't have to be subtle either. It's fine, but I did think
I don't
the
know,
opening
like-
looked good. I thought it was kind of cool the way they did that stuff, but I'm not an animation expert, so maybe it's some basic bitch stuff. I don't know. I thought it kind of looked cool though. I liked
it
it.
looked really good.
I thought visually it looked good. I thought the song was the issue. I thought visually the opening looked good, and like I
not
said, like
something, not something I
all
would
those
add to my album.
all those not so subtle hints that are in there, like the Ren and Nora fighting, is not the problem I have with, you know what I mean? The problem is how they're executing it, not the fact that they're fighting. So, like I said, I made it clear I think that's going to end up being good. But I liked the way the intro looked. I actually thought it looked really good. I thought the song was the issue, not the actual OP. I thought the OP looked cool.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I've often said that the only thing that I can predict about it is that they will probably try to surprise you by doing something that isn't predictable, even if it would make sense more that to do it like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to go back to like volume 6, I believe. Like we were looking at that intro for so long, and just like there's like multiple stuff going on, and we were like, oh, it's good. This is gonna be this, or like they might do this, and it's like, no, none of that happened.
Oh, actually, in Volume 6, it kind of gave up the goose on some things, like Maria having silver eyes.
Oh yeah, but yeah, simply because simply that one thing. Like from what we can see here, it's mostly just like like there's gonna be they're gonna the Jin's being used this season or volume.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
implied. Well, that's the other thing too. Also, is it's like, because technically speaking, two people know how to summon Jin, which is Oscar and RWBY. So, like, and I think my predictions for this season still hold pretty firm, where it's like, oh, get ready for, the heist mission / escape from New York, the volume,
Mm-hmm.
is kind of what I'm expecting if I have to call it for the entire season.
Yeah.
Escape from Gotcha Hell. There's only whale.
I wish it was Escape from Tarkov instead.
God, that game frustrates me to no end. I haven't touched that game in a year.
Didn't they do a recent update?
Yes.
I believe so, yeah. It's just as toxic as it always was, I think.
It
though.
will be
Oh,
that game.
always has-
Whenever
it's toxic? Always has been.
voiceover IP comes over that game, it's gonna be so toxic. It's not even funny. Like even more toxic than Rust.
If you've never gone back to like the mid 2000s and 1v1'd a guy on Rust, then you don't know what it's like to have an Xbox controller slammed over your head.
You don't know that pain, fellow gamer.
So, anything else to say about the episode or the opening before we get into questions?
No, not really. I think. I
Yeah,
mean,
not
like
really.
I enjoyed the episode, but like I'm
Mhm.
still keeping my expectations pretty low because the train could slide off the tracks at any time.
Because I feel like I'm the most excited for this volume. Because like I generally have like I usually have a more
Usually
I
are.
usually have a more positive outlook, but like they're like I'm with dude on most of the stuff here. Like we're in agreement. It's like there needed to be a little bit more. Like I've been so excited for so long, and then you get this cold open. It's just like it's no November. Stop edging me.
Like I said, I don't have a problem with them getting Ren and Nora to fight to get them together. Just do it better than this. And I don't mind the characters splitting up in groups, but do it better than this. I don't mind Ruby and Yang disagreeing. Do it better than this. You know what I mean? Like I don't have a problem with the basic ideas of what they're doing with any of this, which is why they could save it. They could make it make more sense eventually. That's my positive outlook, I guess, that I have, is that they could fix the execution in a way. Like obviously they can't completely, I mean, they've retconned stuff before, so I guess they could just retcon Ren and Nora's motivations again, because I think it's very obvious that eventually it's gonna I didn't mean to say this earlier. that like I think they are going to address the actual fight between Ren and Nora is going to come down to like his fear of like commitment and or fear of like losing her, because there's no way they're going to ignore that scene where he doesn't strike Neo. I think that has to come back. I understand that they flip their motivations and stuff like that, but at least they remember that they did that, right? It's not like they completely forgot. They're just dumb. But that scene, I think, is the key. So I think that's what it's going to come down to at the end. And I don't really mind that. If they address it that way, it's okay. So, and again, that goes along with some of the other things they're doing. I think they can fix the execution, but right now the execution has me worried for basically everything they're doing so far, except for the villains. The villains are the only ones that right now actually are fine. So that's good at least. Yeah, that's at least good. We have that positive part.
So let's get into questions. We have a lot of repeated questions because there wasn't just a lot that people were wondering about in this episode. So first question, Mikhail Catalan asks, if tensions keep increasing between the teams, do you think at some point Ruby will snap in anger at Yang regarding the whole trust thing? I hope so.
Same here.
She's needed to she's never really had other than with Weiss, she's never really had to have people question her leadership. So
Yeah, I've always wanted to.
She's been too complacent. Like I think.
Yeah.
I like her. I like her character, and I like how she's done things. But like at a certain point, I look back and yeah, she just I don't question her choices. It's just her attitude. It's like she's the leader of this team. This is a job. She needs to be a bit more stern with them, especially if they want to fuck around like this.
Yeah.
I've wanted to see her lose her shit for so long, and she has good reason to do so now. Like, I think it would be nice because it seemed like I hope like the reason why she was such a pussy with Yang in this episode was because she is just trying to bottle it up and like just be calm, and eventually she can't take it anymore. She loses it with everybody, and I would love to see that because she deserves to do that because everybody's being an idiot. You know what I mean? Like Yang especially is being a fucking idiot. So. And yeah, Ruby's kind of being an idiot for letting her be an idiot. So I like the way she solves that is by blowing up at her.
Yeah. Blade Charge asks basically the same question, but he also asks, do you think Ironwood will be the true reason why Atlas fails?
You can kind of tell as soon as they said, "Hey, by the way,
define fail."
This is Ironwood's semblance, by the way. LOL times 10.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised by it.
Yeah, they're definitely not. If Atlas fails, it's definitely not going to be Team Ruby's fault because that's just how writers work.
To be fair, it's not going to be all Ironwood's fault, but it's you start taking out too many pieces in a Jenga tower, with multiple people trying to take out pieces, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where is it really a single person's fault? Like, who's really going to beat her anyway? You know what I mean? Like, is it actually somebody's fault, or is it just something that was inevitably going to happen? You know?
Yeah, the key point is just to survive. You don't have a way to win at this.
Yeah, exactly.
Survival is winning at this point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's not really a good way to do it, and there's the two options that have been discussed that they kind of wrote themselves into a corner on. But so you can either have A, they don't win, they just manage to hold them off, or B, they do something that everybody has already said, yeah, this is basically the only way you can actually do it. And with her mom apparently having been killed by the chick, they kind of extra wrote themselves into a corner on it, because now we're going to be very skeptical of Silver Eyes have anything to do with victory overall now, and it might not be able to be played off very well, and you might have to actually explain some shit.
Yeah. So Sean Resendez asked, do you think they'll actually get Amity working, or will Salem destroy it first? I think they will, and I think that's going to be what leads to Volume 9, where they leave Atlas and start heading towards Vacuo.
I don't think they will, because The thing is that they've said in the first episode that their exact plan for infiltrating and turning the thing on by hacking Ironwood's computer, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think they're going to be able to pull that off, and in the way that they have said outright, because like I said, a lot of these guys like to pull shit on you that is not predictable just for the sole purpose of it being surprising. So I would not doubt that Amity might go down too.
I mean,
And
I've said
I'll
this
shut
before that I want them to lose hard, right? I want them to
No,
everything to fail.
that's not going to happen. I'm
I
pretty
know.
sure that they won't lose hard,
I
I
know.
I'm
and
I'm
I'm pretty
assuming Meat
sure
Grinder
that they'll
for
be able to. I'm pretty sure that literally everything will probably either go right for them or will go wrong, partially due to what they have done. But they will pat themselves on the back and justify all of their own actions, and other people will do the same for them. And also, the entire universe itself will bend causality to their will in order to make them seem right. That seems like what tends to happen with them. So I'm almost 100% certain that they will not fail. And if they do fail, they also will not fail.
Yes, my semblance fan fiction.
But is that what you think should happen, or is that just what you think will happen because
That's
writers?
never what I think should happen.
Okay, all right, yeah. I kind of figured, yeah. Well, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I think you're right. I think they will, like you said, just bend everything to their will. I wish it wouldn't be what happened, but it's probably what's going to happen.
All right. So Vaishni herself asks uh, three questions. One, do you think Salem will do anything herself this volume, or just send her minions and Grim to do things? Yes and no. I don't think she's gonna leave her whale, but I do think her minions are going to be successful in their kidnapping of Oscar, per the opening, and they're going to have a moment there uh, after that.
She has been an armchair general of sorts, even though she doesn't really seem like she needs to be, what with the fact that she can shoot fireballs out of her arms. But like, they if they want to like get into an explanation of that, I would be perfectly willing to listen to why it is she's been sitting on her ass for thousands of years doing nothing.
Oh, was Salem just chilling?
Boredom.
Like I mean, like you could maybe say that she was in some way held back or crippled or not allowed to do stuff in some manner. I don't know how exactly, but you could certainly spend something.
I'm pretty certain they'll figure out. I would always just assume that it's like she never had the right bait-ins at the right time to get
Well, I mean,
something done.
yeah, to a certain extent, but like then you get into like all of the stuff of why didn't she? Why didn't she just do a really reasonable thing like uh go around asking girls, hey girl, you want some cool magic powers? I know where to get some. Come with me.
Get in my
Like
van.
Isn't that just due to the whole entire thing? Like, I think she was more focused on getting rid of silver eyes because, like, apparently those were way more prevalent back in the
uh,
day.
okay, so apparently she committed a secret genocide against something that has mythological tales told about it, and so was not common enough to be widely known in the first place.
And no one seemed to
And
care
slash
about it at the
or
same time.
Right.
yeah, and slash or people did know about it, but she somehow erased all historical records of it, even though she was not the one in charge of the secret government Illuminati thing. That was her opponent,
It's
who
that all
probably
annoys.
should have kept. Like it's as though it's as though like she's kind of like Father from FMA, except that she forgot that step of her plan of actually being the one behind the government herself, rather than
Yeah.
allowing the other guy to be the one in charge of the secret governmental
Yeah.
organization that controls all states.
So, Weiss's second question: how did Tyrion get on the whale?
He walked.
I think he hitched a ride on a flying grim. I think he just jumped on top of one
I
of
like to think he
those little
walked.
dragon things,
Dude,
just walked
Scorpion.
into the sky.
No,
Yeah,
dude,
that's how
tail has
badass
a
he
jet.
is.
His robot tail has jump jets built in. Okay,
That's
like
actually kind of
It's
cool.
got a little
That's actually
thruster in
kinda
it.
he's I mean, like he's running a high heat loadout with it, obviously, but
So you're saying
he's
his
fine with
poison
it.
is
He's
also liquid rocket fuel?
yes, and like maybe he does teeter near the fucking heat threshold when he does an alpha strike with it, but like it doesn't matter because he's just eviscerating your mech anyway.
Wow.
Oh man,
Uh,
I think it's time for the
so
Bachal.
third question: if Neo is Cinder's secret method of getting away with killing Ruby, why is she presenting her to Salem? That is an excellent question that I have no actual answer for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're lost on that one.
that's
Wait, what was the question? If
If Neo is Cinder's secret method of getting away with killing Ruby, why is she presenting her to Salem? Like, hey, Salem, this is my friend Neo, who is
You
totally
never.
not with me for the sole purpose of killing me, that girl you told me not to kill.
yeah.
Why why doesn't anybody question who the fuck this chick is? Because to my
And why is
knowledge,
she
like
not talking?
none of them had met
Well,
her
Emerald,
previously.
Emerald, and Mercury
They already
had
knew
to have
her.
known
They
her.
know
So
who
Yeah,
she
They
is.
did.
yeah,
I think the other ones just don't
yeah,
care because they know that she's not going to be able to kill them because they're self confident enough. And
Well,
Salem
no,
doesn't care because Salem knows that she can't die, which also makes you wonder why Salem's been sitting on her ass for 1,000 years, but she could just genocide everybody because she can't be killed. But whatever.
even if I don't care about something, if I see some random chick show up in my evil's chambers and I'm like, who the fuck is this? And she like, I would expect somebody to say like, oh
Why
yeah,
aren't you
remember
pulling
when
the
you
lever opening up like the spike pit beneath that person's feet?
yeah
Like,
you'd be like, oh, remember when you were using me as the middleman for that crime organization back in the day? Yeah, so she was an assassin for
yeah.
them slash bodyguard. So
Yeah, I don't know why Cinder didn't
Yeah,
be
that's a
like,
good point.
yeah, she's one of the people that helped us with Vale.
uh,
That's a good point, Coop. You're right. I sit
that's
corrected.
also a really good question too. Also, it's like why
like
bring this?
admittedly, I get why they would skip over that because it's something the audience already knows, but like it's also a thing that would that does kind of stand out because just because we know something doesn't mean the other guys know something.
Yeah, like that's a thing that Sale wouldn't know about. She's like, I don't care how you get it done, just get it done. I don't need to know these people's names because that means I have to pay for their health insurance and 401ks.
Yeah, like Cynic could easily be like, "Hey, this is my ice cream cone friend. Her name's Neo. I don't call her that though. I call her ice cream cone because I hate her, and I put her down and belittle her as often as possible,
I
even though
just
she's
so
my
she doesn't
ally
kill
and the
me.
only thing that."
I mock her
Yeah.
at every opportunity I can get because I know if I don't, she'll get the idea that she could beat me in a fight. In reality, it's doing the exact opposite.
Yeah. So Robert messaged us
Oh, yeah.
asking if this is the first podcast on my channel that you're watching. Robert is actually usually here instead of Socklucard. Uh, so he asked if you were to change up the teams going to the crater and the outpost, how would you do it? Personally, I'd flip the roles and send Yang's group to the outpost and Ruby's group to the crater with either Weiss or Blake on Team Yang. Okay, so I would have Yang, Rin, Ruby, and Jean on the evacuation team because they all have powers that are very good for protecting people from Grimm. And same like Jean has the aura boosting, and we've seen him use that for medical purposes. Rin can hide people from the Grimm in order to get them to the evacuation point. Yang gets stronger the more damage she takes, so she can be like a human shield for them. Uh, and who else did I say? Oh, Ruby, and Ruby's really fast. And has the silver eye, so you would want her to be one of the people going up against Grimm. And then that would leave Blake, Weiss, Nora, and Oscar to go to be on outpost duty. But I understand that that's not really how things would play out. You basically, ideally, Ruby and Yang would be doing what I said, but they, because of their perspectives, Ruby's gonna be going to the outpost, and yeah. So yeah, that's how I would have it play out.
Yeah, if it were me, I would figure out which one of them I wanted to assign as gunner, ace gunner, fire team leader, and fire team A slash, and then I would completely fuck that up and have the worst possible leader of each fire team go off and do something. And they'd probably get their shit wrecked and get totally flanked by the enemy and start calling in for Kazovac runs. Uh,
Sounds like you're speaking from experience. Did the laser
Yeah, I was
tag
about
game
to
go wrong
say.
the last time you were while you were in the Marines?
What do you mean last time?
All the time.
Uh,
I was gonna say this kind of something similar to media. It's like one of the things that kind of makes me annoyed at Ruby's poor leadership and the show in general is like, okay, let's say, and you know how this episode is just too slow and nothing, blah in general. Okay, I understand some people want to do different things. That's fine. But you should divide people up by their skills and who would be better suited to do each job, not by what they want to do. That's
is
not
why
how.
Volume 6 is still the best volume.
Yeah.
Remember Volume 6? They had John and Ring go together to save all the Manticores so that Team Ruby and Crow could deal with the Manticores without having to deal with protecting passengers. And they kept Nora there because she's also a heavy hitter and part of that whole team, and would be the first line, the line of defense before Jean
For
Ren,
media.
just in case any Manticores decide to just ignore Ruby. Like again, like that was like that was can you all hear me?
You got all
We can
robotic.
hear you,
kind
but
of.
you're getting
Yeah.
robotic.
You're swerving.
Uh,
It's unnerving.
It's okay. Obi has picked it up. But I'll filibuster for media for the short term. I feel like so especially Coop brought up kind of like a good point. Especially to the other guys. I think the earlier seeds would have been dramatically improved if they both agreed to split up and go do a thing. But then Ruby was like, hey, it's like, let's kind of change up the teams here a little bit so like it makes more sense so we can optimize this, whoever's going out to go there, to help escort these people to the crater, which those people being escorted to the crater kind of like confirms in my head that Atlas isn't going to fall out of the sky on them. But yeah, no, I feel like that would actually improve it because then it's like, then, Ruby's at least mindful of the capabilities of her fellow teammates and their abilities, and especially if she's able to flex whatever like leadership muscle she has to get the other teammates, like even if they don't want to be on that team, they're like, well, hey, well, you're better suited for this. So it's like we got the other team
See,
doing the
like,
thing.
Yeah, skills over feelings. Because honestly, like, I agree. Like, Blake should be helping infiltrate.
I like now that I think about the Atlas thing, which I had not thought about this before, but I don't think Atlas can fall necessarily. People have said, "Oh, the creation relic constantly generates an infinite source of gravity dust for it that it requires to stay afloat." But then I think back to when Weiss was flying through a field of like self-sustaining rocks that did not have an uh, infinite supply of that same energy source, yet still managed to stay afloat seemingly long enough to grow trees and plants on them. It doesn't really make sense that the amount of gravity dust it has on it currently would not be able to sustain that lift on its own.
Well, the
Like they
actual idea is that like does Atlas even just the relic of creation?
I don't fucking know. Like I would assume yes.
Because I don't think so. And they've mentioned it so many times that like it would be really just poor writing if like Salem does get a hold of the relic of creation, does use it to create something, and then Atlas just doesn't fall because like, oh surprise, we actually had enough gravity dust to keep it afloat anyway. That'd be weak.
There's more.
I don't think it
There's
would
more
be
interest. There's more
surprising. Like
interest. There's more interest if like. I mean, you can still go like halfways with
it's
this,
more
but
exciting if it
it's
falls
more
out the
exciting. Yeah.
sky, but like then again, like I would be totally fine with it if it didn't. I'd be like, yeah, that actually does make sense given stuff I've seen previously.
I'd gamble that it doesn't fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
Watch it like it just like it falls, but it falls just slow enough.
I mean, like the thing is that like if we're going from it like from a meta perspective, it being up in the sky in the first place in a place that is supposed to be under siege by a thing means that it's probably going to fall because that's an exciting thing. But if we go at it from a, hey, aren't there these other things in this same world that never fall out of the sky seemingly with just a bare amount of gravity dust in them? Then you can be like, oh, yeah, that doesn't actually make that much sense.
And then it explodes and falls anyway.
Yeah. Like I mean, you could have like bring it up in that way, be like, "Well, I don't understand this. How the fuck is it falling out of the sky?" And you're like, "Shut up! Stop making sense, you dumb bitch."
Yeah. So let's see. Travis Herndon asked, "Do you think Volume 8 is going to be better than Volume 7?"
Too early to tell.
Yeah,
It's literally the first
too,
episode.
too soon to tell. I'm predicting. See, I can't really go off of a first episode because the best first episode was in the worst volume.
I want it to be the best. I want it to be the best.
And the and the other best start was in the best volume. Like volume 5 and volume 6, they had the two best starts to a volume, and they were in very different weight classes in terms of quality.
Yeah, we don't even need to go into that one.
And,
I
and the worst volume premiere was in volume 3.
Yeah,
And
I
Volume
would
3
I
had the
would
special sauce.
I would go with saying that like just from the sheer fact that this is coming in late in the game and they've already compounded so much stuff on top of each other that it is at this point with this amount of runtime nearly impossible to address or fix that it will not be particularly good. Will it be ultra bad? Maybe not. They might be able to salvage a few things out of the wreckage that has been the rest of this entire show, but like, I'm not going to bank on it being of high quality. Even Volume 6 being the best volume, like, the best volume of a terrible show is still pretty damn mediocre overall.
Yeah, exactly. There's still way too many issues with it for it to be a great volume anyway. Here's my opinion. If they do the stuff they're supposed to do with Ren and Nora and they resolve all their bullshit and they actually just get together, I'll call it the best volume no matter what else happens. Because I mean, otherwise it's just a much of a muchness anyways. As everybody said, it's not really that great of a show anyway. So you know what? If I can choose the best volumes that arbitrarily,
That is
so
correct.
You can't
and
help but respect this man's priorities.
Yeah, that is correct. And we will, of course, be making our own completely copyright non-infringing merchandise of Nen X Rora, which you can purchase from us for low price. Yes, they look very similar to these characters, but they are, as you can see, very clearly different. Completely non-infringing on anything. Rooster Teeth, do not send your lawyers after us. We have guns.
Original character, please no steal.
they also have too many. They also have too many other shits that they're dealing with right now. Their lawyers are busy anyway, so they don't have time to deal with us right now.
So
I
you're
wish I would
saying
ha-
it's
I
the
wish I had-
perfect time to
wish I
like
was-
copyright infringe Rooster Teeth is what you're
Yes.
saying.
Yes.
Look, all I'm saying is that I know a guy who is in contact with the same Chinese guys who do completely original gotcha games that totally do not rip off Breath of the Wild and do not have spyware that may or may not be getting into your phone.
Hey,
So
leave my Genshin
really,
Impact out of this. Leave my Genshin Impact out of this.
we got to bring some stuff in, okay? This is merchandising, Sock. You gotta roll where the money lies. Okay?
Merchandising,
Merchandising.
where the real money from the movie is made.
I could hear the hand ringing from here.
God, I love Mel Brooks.
So, we have one more question, and this one I'm not even gonna answer. What kind of blowjob? And this is from Connor Hines. What kind of
Oh,
blowjob
no.
do you think each member of the gives? This is a real question that was sent to us by someone
Wait,
who has
Team
sent pretty good
RWBY, right?
before. Yeah.
Just look at Jubru. You can find out the answer on your own.
No, we have to give serious answers here. Okay.
Yeah, it is
So who wants to
true.
go
Okay,
first?
like Okay, first off, this is basically just a question framed in the exact same way as the Alvin and the Chipmunks
Oh
game,
yes.
wherein each chipmunk gets a different type of blowjob, and we are meant to determine who is receiving the best. So not only does it count who is giving the best blowjob, it also counts who's receiving it. So ultimately, you've excluded a very important variable from your question, and I've got to discount it. You no longer get your math degree, sir. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to take it like a man and
Pack your knives and go home.
yeah.
This sounds like a hazing question. I'm a
Well,
little...
actually, no, that should be the next hazing question.
Yes.
Well, like assuming, oh man, we have to give this man like a semi-serious answer. So let's just say John's on the receiving end of this.
As he
That
should be.
so no variable on the receiving side. He will be receiving a blowjob from each member of Team RWBY. Yang is completely fraudulent in her knowledge of the male body. I highly doubt that she has ever actually given a blowjob. Count her out. Blake was bred from a very young age to give blowjobs, probably to every man in her village.
She got it from her mom.
So,
God,
yes, so she has heavy experience in the matter. However, by this point, she has also become jaded in that experience, and so may lack the passionate suckage that is required of a truly intense blowjob. Okay, Ruby, she's a bit naive, but she does have that passion.
She's gonna
And
try her damnedest, no matter what.
yes,
Even if she doesn't know what she's doing, she's definitely gonna try.
and even that little bit of wholesomeness can cause a psychic reaction within you that makes you enjoy it more, even if it was of lower quality. Then we get to the
Also, real
ultimate
quick, I have to add something to this. Sorry, I can't believe I'm actually participating in this discussion, but
Yes.
but I will anyway. Also, less experience and the passion also means they might take direction better as well, which can be helpful.
The
Well, we also
perfect
have to
blend,
factor.
though, obviously, is Weiss. Okay, not only was she forced at least 12 times a day to suck her dad's cock, but she also did not get so much of it that she became completely dispassionate in it. Indeed, she gives the angriest blowjob ever, as it brings back traumatic memories of her childhood.
You see, I would argue that that Blake would be a decent candidate because she's probably read all sorts of smut novels
Now that's a good sign.
growing up. Definitely can agree with Yang being totally fraudulent. Weiss though is definitely I feel like Weiss is more of the would definitely give you the femdom treatment.
I'm gonna be honest. I would bet money Jean actually gives the best blowjobs. I don't know why. I just feel like he would.
You leave my boy out of this.
I'm just saying.
I think we've humored.
He has the worst. He has the lowest self confidence. He has the most to make up for. So he probably would be the best at that.
I've just had my head in my hands this entire time. And you just say
Media.
that-
Media.
Choice
Media.
of words, media. Choice of words.
Phrasing.
Phrasing.
Phrasing media. Phrasing, please.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the only head you should have in your hands from this discourse is Blake's.
Yes.
She's got the ears you can grab onto and grip
For
better,
for
so you-
leverage.
I know I just typed this out, but I have to
Oh
say
my
it.
god.
Actually, no, I don't want to say I'm laughing too much.
No, she doesn't have bunny ears. If you're gonna use to grip, you need hair or you need bunny ears. The cat ears are too small to grip
The cat
properly.
ear-
No, you'd grip
no,
her
no, no,
hair.
no. Like, no, if you grip them right, okay, you don't. We're not talking about using the ice pick grip on the bunny ears. That's no. You're
Okay.
doing a typical hair pulling grip with the cat ears. However, the cat ears are adding to that.
It's just a slightly modified hair pull.
Yes, and you are, of course, doing the forced deep throat that initiates gag reflex on her. Because she does have a gag reflex, but she will still deep throat even through it. Even through the puke. She will give you a
oh
blowjob.
no. Oh no, okay.
All
Let's
right,
end
I'm
this,
putting
we're
it
done.
As
into
we
this.
all know, not only
Media's
are cats
time-stamping where
having of gag reflexes, they are self-triggering of it for the purpose of coughing up hairballs. These are facts. You cannot dispute it.
He's right, actually.
I hate how
the
right
fact he's
you
actually
are.
using
Media's
Yeah,
Coop's in the jet launching anti-ship missiles at the USS Liberty right now,
Media,
and there's just facts and logic on
Media
Brendan's
is
side.
time-stamping.
Media-
He's time-stamping where he needs to edit all of this out right now.
Media, you should have realized this when you have Coop on the
Oh,
podcast. You asked that
knew.
question.
And no, I'm leaving all this in. I'm leaving it all in.
Good.
Well, most of it in.
I mean, like, if she spits any of it out, honestly, it's her
Oh my
fault.
god.
All right, let's wrap this up. I got work tomorrow.
Video and you want to see more, like, comment, and subscribe. Consider supporting me on Patreon. Join the Discord.
Which it's
if you
free to
donate to my
join,
Patreon,
unlike
you will
other
get-
Ruby
Yes.
YouTuber
Yes.
Discords.
Yes, HP's Break Room. It's free to join. If you donate to my Patreon, you will gain access to the Media Secret Squirrel server. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at EA Mediocrity4. Yeah, that's all I have for now.
Anyone else need to do their plugs?
Just
I mean,
please,
you
Yeah, I
guys
please,
mean,
just go in order as usual.
please be better than the
Oh.
start of this volume. I'd appreciate that. The end.
really the only thing that I need to plug is my member Into the Mouth of a Cat Girl. Like, I don't really see any other thing that can be said right now.
Purring is just a vibrate function.
Yeah,
Yes,
that I'm editing out.
yes,
Um,
yes, Sock.
I mean, you can follow me at twitter.com/Socklucard. That's pretty much it. I don't have a YouTube channel.
All right. See you all next week for hopefully a better episode. Bye.
Yep. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yep.